morning, everyone. It's 11 o'clock ish. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for Elevenses with the reps at Diesel. Yay! We're here. We're here. We're still standing with our books. Getting together every Wednesday here in our Crowdcast space with our wonderful, fabulous publishers representatives and our booksellers, and we're just talking about all of the new upcoming and old favorite books and prize winners and literary, not literary, cookbooks, everything. We got it all here. Everything. Yes, and we're super excited about it because it's despite everything that is happening, it is the books are pumping, and the books are really great this season. There's just an embarrassment of riches to choose from, but we're going to give you some to add to your list today. And I almost didn't make it here today, so I don't have the events lined up. I just realized that upcoming events for the week ahead, but Joey is going to pop up the little thing right there and let you know what is going on in the store. My apologies. We everybody had a very weird morning here. There was like technology problems. There was other various and sundry emergencies, so my apologies. But just go ahead and click on that and you can see all of our upcoming events. We have a super busy summer coming up, actually, at the bookstore. It's going to be great. Oh, Joey, hello.
I can pop in and
Yes,
offer
Joey,
them
pop
because I have them right
in.
here. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Thank
tonight
you.
we've got Stephanie Leader with Maria Amparo Escondon, and they're discussing Love, Coffee, and Revolution, or maybe
Yay.
Revolucion. I don't know, whatever. And then tomorrow night we have Lisa Jewell with Amy Tintera and Lucinda Berry uh,
Ooh,
for Lisa's new book, Don't Let Him In. That one should be very fun and
yeah,
pretty big.
that's going to be a
Um,
lot of fun.
and then next week on Tuesday, we've got John Cowan with Proof of Thriller. And that's events. Maybe we should do this every week. And I should just pop in and be like, hey,
Yes, I like it when you
guest
pop
event.
in. I like it when
Yeah.
you pop
So,
in, Joey. Yeah, that's good. Thank you
and
very much.
that's the events.
Thanks, Joey. Now you can go back behind the curtain. All right, who else is with us today? Obviously, Joey is here with bells on. We are also joined today by two reps we haven't seen for a while, so I'm so excited. You guys have such great books, and I'm really excited. And I love seeing you anyway, so I'm happy to have here today Andrea Tetrick from PGW and Tom Benton from Penguin, our stalwarts. Neither one of them.
I went behind a curtain. Can you see me?
No, but we can hear you. Your camera needs. Listen, it's just one of those days. I don't know if it's sunspots or what, but it's
Something.
at a certain point you just have to. But we're professionals here, so we're carrying on. And Henry is joining us up there in Mercury in the Microwave, indeed. Is joining us from our fabulous bookseller Henry, and we've got Joey for everything else. So let's get started. Andrea, why don't you start us off?
Okay, thanks a lot. I'm happy to be here. My sound wasn't working, as happens.
I know.
And
you were in traffic. You had an update.
I mean, a traffic in a small little mountain town due to the most massive, wide load, oversized load on a highway I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, and did it turn over or like?
No, it just some trucks basically had to raise the wires going across the road so that it wouldn't clip the wires. Crazy stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything's crazy lately. Like,
yeah.
You could be just driving down the road and you can see never mind.
Yes. No. Well, the first book I want to talk about is very special. It is not, it won't be, this is one to pin, to write down, and to come into the store and pick it up when it publishes on July 8th. But since I'm not going to be here until the end of July, that's my next session of Elevenses. I wanted to talk about it today. It's Culpability. This is from Spiegel and Grau. And besides the good news that we learned a while ago that this is the forthcoming pick from a major national book club that I cannot tell you about, or else I will be exiled. It's very secret, top secret stuff. So Culpability is a novel by Bruce Holsinger. And I am telling you, I think that this promises to be seen as the first big novel addressing the ethical complications of the AI age in which we are hurtling right now, towards which we're hurtling, or maybe in the throes of right now. It's also at heart a family drama. It's a portrait of a family in extremis. It's a portrait of a rocking marriage. It's got a tinge of thriller to it. It's an amazing cinematic page turner, but it also has literary chops. It's got everything. I could not put it down. Everybody I've talked to on both sides of the publishing industry, on the publisher side and all of the early readers out in the indie book selling world, really love this book. So I think that it's got a lot going for it. It does not hurt that a major national book club of some note will be announcing this as the next pick, but I think it's going to catapult onto the bestseller list no matter what. So that's very exciting.
Very exciting. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so there's plenty of copies of this that will be in the store and on sale July 8th. And so make a note and run down there or call to make a pre-order so that you can have one. And also this is going to be, Bruce Holsinger is going to appear at Diesel on June 22nd, I believe. So he will also be there to answer folks' questions and talk about the book.
Not June 22nd, because that was Sunday.
I'm sorry. July 22nd.
July 22nd.
Woo!
Yeah.
Books aren't shipping.
Yeah,
yet,
so that's coming up. So excellent. And then we'll find out. Joey says he's holding his breath so you don't get black bagged on the stream by goons linking the book club name. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's such a big secret. These things are such a big secret anymore because there's a lot of them and they're all great, So
yeah. But we're excited about it, and and it couldn't happen to a nicer author or a stalwart publisher, Spiegel and Grau. They're just, they're firing on all cylinders right now. They just keep on putting out, great book after great book, nonfiction, fiction. So happy to see it.
They really do. They really do. And they've been going a long time too.
Yep.
Also, as an added bonus, this is just really a beautiful looking book. So
it really is, isn't it?
Yeah, gorgeous. Thank you, Andrea. Out with a bang. Tom, we have no camera, but
no, I've tried a couple different cameras. I've tried everything.
All right.
Here I am. I'm here. So my first book is Bug Hollow by Michelle Huneven, a book that Deborah, I have been anxiously waiting for this to come. So we published it last Tuesday, and Michelle this is for sure my favorite novel of the summer. It is a book that I just dearly, dearly love, and I've loved all of Michelle Huneven's books. This is her 6th novel, I think. and her second with Penguin. And the book is a tremendous family story told over decades. It starts off in the mid to late 70s. There's the family's sort of golden child. There's tragedy that happens to that son, and it's in many ways about how the tragedy in the family ripples across in the lives of all as the kids grow up and the parents grow older. It's about about how that tragedy ripples through all of their lives, and it's and that's what I love most about it are the characters. Will never forget these characters, their humanity, their eccentricity. They're like real. They feel like real people. And Michelle wrote this initially thinking these were stories. She didn't approach it as a novel initially, and then she sent what she had to her agent, and her agent was like, "This is a novel." And so indeed it is, but it still has traces of the story structure, which I really love, because there are moments in the book there you start the next chapter and you think, wait, how did I get here from where I just was in the previous chapter in that character's life? Slowly but surely you see what time has passed. You see the connections made, she rethreads everything. So I found it completely immersive, and when I would get into those chapters where I wasn't quite sure where I was, it was almost like a puzzle, has a puzzle-like feel where pieces dropped into place. She's just a master writer. So she's, as I said, it's her sixth novel. She is getting probably the best reviews of her career, and this is certainly, I think, the most just like purely pleasurable, just a book that you could hand to anyone and they will love it. And that's what's been happening for me. I've been raving about it, handing it to people, and to a person, they come back and say, I love Bug Hollow. But Ron Charles, I love the Ron Charles Washington Post reviewer. He talks a little bit about that structure, and he says, Huneven dares us to get comfortable only to yank us years or thousands of miles away. The family that initially felt so shiny and self-contained gives way to individual stories that butt up against one another at skewed angles. It's not confusing, it's eye-opening. The very structure of Bug Hollow reminds us that the smoothly progressive chapters of most novels are a fanciful creation of some chiropractic narrator who's artificially aligned the disorder of actual lives. So this feels more like real life, the way she's done it. The other thing I'll say is she's Los Angeles, and more importantly, she's Altadena. And when I heard about the Eaton fire, the first person I thought of was Michelle Huneven, because she has spent her life writing about this place, Altadena. And so I called Penguin Press and, was hoping that she hadn't lost her home, but of course she had. And so there's an extra poignance knowing that this place it's a ghost. This is about that place that is now gone in so many ways. And she did, of course, she did change the dedication, and it's simply to Altadena now. But this is a book that I cannot recommend highly enough. And Indie Next Pick, as Deborah knows, it's doesn't have, and it's a book that should have been a book club pick of any of them, but it isn't. So it's up to people like me to spread the word about how great a novel Bug Hollow is.
And there's nobody better than you, actually, or more eloquent about it to spread the word, Tom.
Yep.
I have to say, you and Tom told me about this book, and I hadn't heard about it, but Tom told me about it early, and to take a look. And I always listen to Tom, and I remembered Michelle Huneven. I've been reading. I read one of her very early books a long time ago when I was doing research for something, and so it that bell chimed in my head as well. And what I remembered about her writing was sort of the honesty of her characters and the real human that she brings to everything. Just very, yeah, real, but not, when you say something is like, oh, it's so real, but no, just it feels like she is in the world, and really lives in this world and really creates it. And of course, the sense of place, which, there's added poignancy to it now. But you know what? it could have been a book club pick, but I don't think it's going to need it, Tom. I think this is going to be like one of the big books of summer. Yeah,
I agree. And I think if you like writers like Anna Napolitano, Claire Lombardo,
yeah, and I think it'll have legs as well. I think it'll keep going for sure. And it's great to see how much energy Penguin is putting behind it as well. So that's also great. Thank you, Tom. All right, Henry, gonna move over to you.
Hello. Once again, I'm here with a book that Joey yelled at me to read until I finally broke and read it.
This is becoming a real theme.
It's becoming a theme in my day-to-day life. I come into work and Joey tells me he's emailed me something, and I have 17 emails from Joey that are all different artists. My first one is called The Devils. It's, Joe Abercrombie's new book that I'm sure Joey has already done on here.
In fact, he has.
What are you going to do?
No, let's hear your perspective. I think this is great.
Yeah, Andrea, Joey is a good book bully. This is a great book. It follows the Church of Holy Expediency, which is a small secret department of the church in this world that's job is to expedite people's exit from the mortal plane. It is I was giving it to my girlfriend, and she described it as a Catholic Suicide Squad. It is a bunch of death row convicts under the Catholic Church that have been formed into a little group that go kill monsters. It's a vampire, a werewolf, an elf, and a wizard, and a very depressed priest, and one crusader. It's a really great book. It read very, very quickly. It did do that thing. Do you ever get to what feels like the end of a book, like everything has kind of concluded and you still have 150 pages left?
Yeah.
This does do that. It was very stressful. I really didn't like that. But it was a really great book. I read it very, very quickly. I absolutely loved it. Really great cover, really great art on the inside covers, and it's just a really fun book, like beginning to end.
Henry, so you have like a slightly different perspective on it than Joey did, which is great. A different angle. But I want to know, because Joey, I think, mentioned a couple of comparable titles, but what would you compare it to, like in the store when you're showing it to somebody and telling somebody about it? Fans of.
I'm honestly not sure. The most comparable books I have for it are the rest of Joey's staff recs. We have a couple of customers who come in and they're like, yeah, I talked to this guy, he's got glasses and wears all black. And I'm like, great, I know exactly what to give you. And I just give them whatever Joey gave me last week. It definitely feels similar in vibe to another one he has me reading, The Daughter's War. Which is, it is a familiar book and a familiar kind of style and genre, but they do it in a way that feels very fresh and different.
Right. So these are the kinds of books I feel like are kind of straddling, they're not straddling different genres, like they're not like the super horror, they're not horror, they're not fantasy necessarily. There's a healthy dose of sort of, real world stuff in there as well, so I think doesn't have to be and humor, right? There's like humor in there as well.
Yeah, like Joey says, it's very dark setting. It's very dark setting. Terrible things are happening to people, but it doesn't take itself overly seriously.
Right.
Because, even when things are terrible, people still make jokes about it. So it does kind of recognize that.
Yeah. And I do think that's kind of like a mini trend lately, and an understandable response to everything or all
Definitely.
This. Yeah, exactly. And like Joey says, it plays with tropes, and that's always fun too. In this kind of work. All right, thank you, Henry, Joey. Thank you, Henry and Joey. Andrea, back to you.
Okay. The next book I want to talk about is from Atlantic Monthly Press, which is the sister imprint from Grove Atlantic, and it's called The Red Queen by Martha Grimes. Now, 93-year-old, excuse me, I'm having a pollen attack right now. 93-year-old Martha Grimes has done it again. I mean, I'm sorry. We can only aspire to be able to write amusing, very well plotted mysteries with eccentric characters, amazing dialogue when we're 93. So this is the 26th novel in the Richard Jury series. Richard Jury is a detective from the New Scotland Yard, and he and his stalwart assistant are sent to a small English town where a well-to-do businessman and of the lordly class has been shot off of a bar stool in a pub while surrounded by people. No one sees the murderer. Somebody shoots him from outside, and so goes the investigation. And the thing that I love most about this book, I think, is the witty, sharp dialogue. It almost reads like a play. It's highly amusing, very well done. It reveals characters as you move through the book. You really get to know about the characters through their exchanges. And I also like that everybody in the story has a slightly different, sometimes disparate, greatly disparate perspective of the victim. So we don't really know if he's likable or not, but Richard Jury has to still solve the crime. Either way, it's really amazing. I just learned something the other day when I was talking about this book. In this series, not all of Martha's books, she's got other series going, but in this series, the Richard Jury series, all of the titles are named after a pub. And the Red Queen is where this all happens. The bloodshed occurs. She has other books where she doesn't do that with her titles, but that's fascinating to me as well. She's sold over 10 million copies in this country alone, which is insane. We're not even talking about the UK. So anyway, if you are in need of a quick-paced, delightfully written light murder to get away from all of the darkness right now, this is the book for you. Martha Grimes, The Red Queen.
I've been reading her also. This is another one that I can't believe she's 93 because she wrote a super fun mystery set in the world of publishing that I read before I wrote my own book about set in the publishing world called Foul Matter, which foul matter is actually the term that you use for the stuff that's left and there's no paper anymore in publishing, but they used to be, and old proofs and galleys and things like that. Anyway, she's great and she's still going, obviously. Yeah. And the other thing is that Atlantic, I just love that we are able to get all of this great sort of Brit mystery procedural type detective novels from Atlantic. They're doing just an amazing job with this. Yeah. I talked about Mark Billingham last week and on Elevenses. Yeah. And the New Zealand, why am I blanking on his name?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Better
the
Blood is the name of the novel. Anyway, but Atlantic just does these, does such a great job with these books as well. So
and also they have, I was going to mention that too. So Michael Bennett is the guy's
Michael
the
Bennett,
author's
thank
name.
you. Yeah,
The Blood. He's doing that Hannah Westerman series.
That's right.
Yeah, and she's indigenous Maori, which is an interesting take there.
Yeah, no, they're both great. Yeah.
Yeah. So Atlantic is doing they have a new program called Atlantic Crime, which is coming this fall. So they are really upping their game in that sphere, and a lot of great UK authors are going to be added to the list. So we're excited.
Can't wait. It's right in my. That's right.
It's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it sure
is. Fear not, I shall send bellies.
And I know you will. Thank you, Andrea. Ginny, I wrote a few books. Actually 7. You can, if you want to check them out, you can go to deborahginsburg.com, and they're all listed over there. Thank you for asking, Ginny. Tom, back to you.
And I'm back. You can see me now, right?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. So I'm going to go dark for my next book.
But you just came back.
All right. Well, wait to hear about the book. So it's Murderland by Carolyn Fraser. So Penguin Press is having quite a summer. Penguin Press published Bug Hollow. They published Mark Twain by Ron Chernow. They published Ocean Vuong. And just published in the last couple of weeks is Carolyn Fraser's Murderland. And she won every award for her last book. She won the Pulitzer. She won the National Book Critics Circle. And her last book was called Prairie Fires, The American Dreams of Laura Ingalls Wilder. So could not be more different now that we are in the Pacific Northwest of her. She grew up in the Pacific Northwest, where there's Ted Bundy, where she grew up in the kind of the shadow of Ted Bundy. And there were others. I mean, and apparently true crime fans know that the Pacific Northwest was the place in the 70s, probably 60s, 70s, and 80s. So this book is a fascinating mix of memoir. There is memoir here about growing up at that time. The true crime, which are these serial killers. But then the most fascinating part is that as she researched the book and researched the Pacific Northwest, and she already knew this, but it's almost like you're watching her have a murder board behind her where she's making these connections like, oh, wait, this Ted Bundy lived here and this smelter was here. So what she makes these connections to are the environmental degradation by these smelters. There was lead, all these poisons that were put into the land, into the water, that she connects. And so it's like she connects to the serial killers of the period. So Tacoma was a place that had poisonous lead, copper, and arsenic smelters that were allowed to do pretty much anything they wanted. So the book is all these things at once. If you like true crime, you'll find a lot here. If you want to, great memoir, that's here too. But also, this is truly an environmental book about uncovering our dark past of what we've done to the environment, and especially in the Pacific Northwest. So I think she's done it again. This is going to be on many 10 best lists. It's going to be nominated for awards. I love the LA Times. The way they describe it says, Fraser shatters the fourth wall, luring us from our comfort zone. While rooted in the new journalism of Didion and McPhee, Murderland deploys a mocking tone to draw us in, scattering deadpan jokes among chapters, while finally Fraser delivers a brimstone sermon worthy of a Baptist preacher at a tent revival, raging at plutocrats who ravage those with less. Murderland is a superb and disturbing vivisection of our darkest urges. This summer's premier nonfiction read. So if any of these things appeal, and I think it appeals to all of us, there's a strand in this book that appeals to all of us, Carolyn Fraser's Murderland.
I also think, and we've been talking about this today and before, that these are all popular. Everything she does here is intriguing for the general reader, right? And then, of course, true crime has its little fans. But I also think it's the inoculation by, when disasters are happening or threatening to happen, you inoculate yourself by watching a lot of disaster movies. You get to the worst possible scenario. And a lot of people, that's why they enjoy reading dark. You get to the end, this is the worst thing. This is the worst thing. So anything short of that, we're good and we can enjoy it over here. But also just such a broad swath, that she's covering in so many different aspects. Just absolutely fascinating.
And it's so ambitious. Like it's just, I really admire just the ambition of this book. It wants to be wants to be the best of all these things.
And she can do it, she can do it. And I think Andrea's first book, it's going to be one of those, and Bug Hollow, it's going to be one of those go-to nonfiction books for the summer for sure. So excellent. We like dark.
Here we go.
We do. All right, Henry.
All right, book number 2. This is not, I promise, not a horror book, not a fantasy book, none of my tried and true. I have a cookbook.
Yeah.
My next one is Home Style Cookery by Matty Matheson. He's the kind of larger, heavily tattooed gentleman from The Bear. A lot of people see him on billboards these days. I have never watched The Bear. I don't know him from that.
What?
We have a household problem with I'm currently in the middle of watching 27 different TV shows. I'm trying not to add any new ones.
Did you? Is that an actual number?
That's an actual number. I just wrote it. I took some time off with my girlfriend because she got surgery, and we wrote down all of the shows we're in the middle of because.
I did. Speaking of murder boards, Tom, I actually, during the pandemic, when we were watching, I don't know, we had about 20 Brit and Scandi shows that we were watching because that's all you could do. And I had to put up my own murder board because every time it was like, wait, isn't that the guy we just saw in that other thing with that other woman that was in that other thing? Yeah. So yeah, that's an
They
actual
only have
number.
about 15 actors in the UK.
That's it.
I stumbled upon him on his YouTube channel like 4 months ago, just kind of looking for recipes. I am now obsessed with him. I immediately ordered all of his cookbooks. This one is my most favorite out of the 3 that I got. And yeah, he had a cooking show on Vice. He is such a strange man. His recipes come like way out of left field, just not at all what you would expect from the tin of him as a person. Incredible recipes. He makes such good food. He started as like a line cook, and now he's an executive chef of some very large restaurants in. I cannot ever remember where he lives. I want to say Canada, but I know that's wrong. The way he kind of approaches his recipes is he does it kind of on feeling. So like the recipes in the book, they're going to give you guidelines on what you should be cooking. There's a little wiggle room on times and amounts based on how you're cooking it, based on what you put in it, based on even your own stove. And he also attaches a very personal story to almost all of his cookbooks, or all of his recipes. One of his other cookbooks is called the Matty Matheson Cookbook, and it's like the cookbook of his life, which I absolutely love that. But this one just came in recently for me, so this is the one that I have the most on the mind. It's so good. His food is so good. Some of it is a little complicated. Some of the times, the cook times are absolutely insane. There's a recipe in there that takes 7.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of commitment to some of his recipes. On the flip side, he has like 30-minute soups and like a 1-hour bolognese. It's just such good food. And I'm a larger guy, so big boy to big boy. I appreciate that his recipes are very hearty, very filling, very large, because I love food.
I was gonna ask. So, like, what is the style? What kinds of? What are some of the? What are some of your favorite recipes in the book?
My favorite is his 1-hour bolognese. There's not a set theme on his cooking. Like a lot of cookbooks, are like, oh, it's a lot of pasta, it's a lot of soups. He covers everything. He does focus pretty heavily on soups, roasts, pastas, salads and sandwiches. He has one cookbook that's literally just soup, salads, and sandwiches. But one page could be like, here's a crawfish recipe from when I was a kid, and then you turn the page and it's like, here is like Michelin star roast duck from a Chinese restaurant. It's all over the place, which I think is really cool because it really gives you an idea of like what his cuisine looks like.
It's also cool because that's kind of the way we eat, right? And sort of the way that we cook. What do you want for dinner? I mean, that is, I saw a meme a while ago, and it's like, what did it say? Marriage or partnership is just two people asking each other, what do you want for dinner until they die?
Oh, 100%.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, that it's this sort of free range thing and random sometimes depending on what you have in the fridge. And I like that. And I love that it's heavy on soups and stews as well, because there's so much you can do with that. They're really versatile. You can use a lot of stuff that you already have in the pantry, kind of a thing. So I'm not familiar with him, but I'm pretty excited about this.
It's great.
Are there some plant forward, or is it sort of more meat heavy, or?
It's pretty meat heavy. There is stuff like again, there are salads, there are more vegetable based dishes, but it is pretty meaty, pretty oily, pretty heavy food across the board.
Right.
Yeah, it's dense, I would say, his cooking. Is
yeah, enjoy your life cooking, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, great. Well,
some of his soups are like, again, it'll be like one page will be like, here's a 12.5-hour stew, and then the next page is a tiny little soup in a teacup.
I love it.
He's great.
Yeah.
And he has YouTube videos of all of his cooking that are very fun to watch.
That's also nice to be able to follow up with something like that. I remember when Jose Andres, that also during the pandemic, he started doing a lot of cooking videos like at home with his daughters.
Oh,
those were great. They were really great because they were hilarious as well. So so value added. Thank you for introducing me to him. I didn't know about him, Henry.
Of course. Highly recommend any of his cookbooks.
All right. Moving back to Andrea then.
Thanks very much. The next book, I'm really excited about this book. I think this has a lot of potential to sell as a gift book to customers through the holidays and beyond. It's from our beloved Heyday Press, based out of Berkeley, California. And this title is The Enduring Wild, a journey into California's public lands. It's lavishly illustrated with photographs, beautiful, colorful illustrations, detailed maps, showing where the author, Josh Jackson, is rolling through just the huge expanse of public lands, more specifically Bureau of Land Management land. So it's BLM land that he's showcasing here. And I think it's very timely considering the deep threat from the current regime in terms of like public lands in this country being sold off to the highest bidder, to corporations for extraction purposes, and or 1% billionaires to basically limit access so that they can have huge ranches or whatever. And so this book is a celebration of all of these different locations across the state. I mean, it covers prairies, the sagebrush, mountains, estuaries, deserts, high and low deserts, the chaparral, the coastal areas that are BLM access. I mean, it's, you name it, it covers everything. It's really a wonderful book. And this is the first book to really ever focus on BLM land in California. So I think there's going to be a lot of, there's a lot of people that do like day outings in Southern California or weekend outings. I think this is a perfect book for them. And it's also a great coffee table book, just given the scope of the illustrated matter in this book. It's like full color photographs, maps, and illustrations throughout. And it's about a 265-page book, slightly oversized. And yeah, Here it is right here. So it's chunky, and it's going to look good on people's tables, or, beautifully displayed face out on a shelf. It's going to make a great book for the holiday season. The Enduring Wild.
California is such a beautiful place. I can go on. Everybody, I think probably all know how much I love California at this point. I talk about it a lot in rapturous terms. But it's one of the most beautiful places that I've ever seen, and all of it. And it's so varied, and all of these beautiful public lands are so gorgeous. And you're absolutely right. If you don't know about it, you take it for granted. It's always here. You don't really know. Bringing awareness to these kinds of things in a beautiful book like this, when everything is really like on the edge of being completely, messed with and taken away. And I don't want to be a Joni Mitchell quoter, but you know what you got till it's gone, right? And absolutely, let's just not have it only be in the pages of a book, right? Let's have it actually be there. But if the book can help it preserve it, I think,
Well, that's why I like this, because it is in some ways a travel planning book because of the maps. It's interactive that way. And so you can see what a place looks like and you're going, I want to go there this weekend. If it's in striking distance in California. And so I forgot to mention that there is another element of this book that is a draw, and that is that he discusses the indigenous folks who lived on all this land over the millennia. So that's also a nice little extra added element of the book.
Maps are great also, by the way. There's not a lot of maps anymore. We used to get people coming into the store and asking for maps, and it's like they're hard to come by anymore. Everybody uses the Google Maps. So, but a nice map is a nice map, right?
Well, if your nearest Forest Service office is still open, you can get topo maps there. But
if you can. All right. Beautiful book. Thank you. I think this is a situation where it's one for you and one for something else, for sure.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
We have plenty of stock, and stores are going to keep on stocking it through the holidays for sure.
Definitely. Thank you, Andrea. All right, Tom.
All right. My next book is The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. So she is a best-selling YA author who has now written her first book for adults. And I haven't read the YA books, but the new book, The Listeners from Viking, is a great summer read. If you like, it's just a great historical novel. So if you're looking for that to sink into a world, she pulls it off. So it's set in 1942 in West Virginia, which is where I think Maggie Stiefvater is from. So she knows the place really well. So it's in West Virginia. There's a young woman who is the general manager. She's local, but she's general manager. She's very good at her job, very good at hospitality. This is a very fancy, and it's called the Avalon. I think it's not a real hotel, but it's based on a real hotel. But the war is starting, and into the hotel, the U.S. government is bringing Axis diplomats. So Nazis are coming into the hotel. So that all sorts of moral questions come up for the main character, for all the people that work in the hotel who have loved ones who are either already fighting in the war or about to fight in the war. So it's a great setting. I love books that are set in a place like a hotel. Give me a college campus, a hotel novel set in those places. And she pulls it off really well. And but beneath the hotel, there is a spring and water flows that has healing powers. So there's a touch of, as I say, really good historical fiction, but there is a touch of the magical, but just a touch. She doesn't overdo that at all. That plays a key role in the plot. So just really pleasurable, enjoyable summer read, The Listeners. And I will say, Viking is can only do this because Viking is the publisher, but because you don't compare many things to A Gentleman in Moscow. But Viking is the publisher of Gentleman in Moscow, and they can compare the listeners to Amor Towles' Gentleman in Moscow. So if you like that book, you'll probably like the listeners.
Great. And this, of course, as you know, Tom, and as Henry is definitely aware, everybody who's in the bookstore knows that there is an unlimited appetite for historical fiction. There's certain time periods that are definitely more popular than others, and this is definitely up there with the it's in the top two. And it doesn't seem to be like waning in any way, so I think this is great. It's a sweet spot, and we all need just something that we can sink into and forget about everything else, and it's a great summer read on that level as well. Perfect. For sure. Yeah. I looked at this for a really long time before I picked it up. I had an arc, and I kept looking at it. I was like kept looking, getting drawn into that great cover. And then I finally picked it up, and it is great. It really like hooks you right away, and you're right in there. So thank you, Tom. All right, Henry.
All right, return to form. Urban fantasy, horror adjacent, MPS novel. I should have a bingo card, actually. This is a sequel. It's called To Clutch a Razor. It's the second book in the series by Veronica Roth, who's the author of Divergent and a great many fantasy series, which is most well known for Divergent. This book is literally like this thin. It's like 110 pages. It's a super quick read. It continues on from When Among Crows, which was the first one. It is a urban fantasy set in Chicago. It's very, very heavy with Polish mythology. It's this setting where there's a group of crusaders who have turned their spines into swords that they leave in their backs, and they sent one of their younger men to Chicago to try and track down Baba Yaga, who is an ancient witch. He ended up staying in Chicago and finding a boyfriend, which sounds very light. It's a very heavy emotional book. And in this sequel, he has to go back to his family in Poland, which is a family of monster hunters, and he himself is now a monster. No, she does not have a chicken hut in Chicago. She lives in a fourth floor walk-up above a sandwich place, I think. It's very Chicago. It's very Chicago vibes. But it is so beautiful. It's such good imagery. The writing is so strong. The characters feel so real. I also really like the covers. They're so pretty. That gold trim on the cover on both of the first book and this one kind of shines in a fun way. It's just, I don't know. It's just such a good book. I picked up the arc randomly of the first one when I went on vacation my first couple months of working at the store, and I've never read a book so fast in my entire life, regardless of the fact that it's very short. But I was locked in the entire time, almost missed my flight. She's such a good writer. It's such strong writing. It's such an interesting world that she's made, and you care so much about these characters, even characters you only see for like one throwaway scene, two throwaway scenes. It's so good, and it's such a short book that she really keeps it all very tight, very contained, and everything feels pretty important.
It's great that there are writers who are, it's hard to do all of that in such a short form, right? To get pack all of that emotion in, and to have such deep feeling and concepts created, and really keep you there for the entire read, right? And it's art, and it's a lot of this. I feel like a lot of this genre is being overtaken. But not overtaken yet. But I mean, there's a creep of AI, in this genre in particular. These types of genres where I feel like they can sneak it in. And I really feel like it's great that there are, and important that there are authors like Veronica Roth keeping the bar high, so that no, this is real writing. This is what it is. This is what it's supposed to be about. So. Good. And also I like that it's short, and I also love the concept of turning your spine into a sword, which is
it's very cool. As they get older,
I think now that I'm going to be thinking about that for a long time.
They really get into it. As you get older, your back kind of gets stiff from overuse. You kind of have to retire from using it because it's like a weird advanced form of arthritis that they've encountered.
I love this. It's such a great idea.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Henry. Another great introduction. All right. Your last book of the day, Andrea.
Thank you very much. That's a great cover. Not only compelling innards, but the cover's great.
Yeah. That's gold foil, I'm assuming.
Gotta love it. The next book I want to talk about is from the New Press that brought us the likes of The New Jim Crow, among other national bestsellers. And this is one that we think is a bit of a sleeper on the spring list, but is a very important document. It's called The Great White Hoax, 2 Centuries of Selling Racism in America. And this is on sale this week. And it's a fascinating, disturbing, and very illuminating survey of the last 2 centuries in this country, and how tricksters, hucksters, and various opportunists have sold the American public outrageous lies, fake news, propaganda, rigged data, and bogus science that perpetuate American racism throughout that period. The author, Philip Kadish, argues that American racism, including anti-Semitism, of course, has always been fueled by falsities and deliberate hoaxes. This is nothing new. The rise of white nationalist thought and the radical right-wing militia movement that we're plagued with currently, and as normalized and mainstream by Fox News and their cohort, are just the latest iteration in a long historical effort. And it's all meticulously recorded here in all of its forms, high and low culture. And it, like I said, it is fascinating and thoroughly devastating, very disturbing, but an important book that I think should be read far and wide because it does chronicle what has taken place and what it's come to now in this current, fraught political landscape that we find ourselves in, and especially now that a bit of erasure of this history is going on. I think it's even more important that this book is on shelves in indie booksellers across the land.
All of these books, Andrea, absolutely, you're absolutely right. And it's not a bit of erasure. I mean, they're really trying to erase everything. Luckily, everyone's got a camera on their cell phone, so there's those keep popping up. I mean, I feel like, wouldn't it be weird if or just civilization was saved by people taking videos on their cell phones? I mean, these are the kinds of things I think about every day. But these very necessary books, and they need to be out there, and hopefully they will get to the places they need to go, not just the choir that they're singing to that's already there, who knows about these things, but hopefully will be passed along to other people who can, before this does become a fairy tale, that we're telling, and people are like, well, nothing like that, that's not right. So that's what we're fighting against, right?
Yeah, exactly. So here's hats off to all the indie booksellers across the land that have picked this book up, and it's on front tables, and faced out in the stores on shelves.
We'll
now.
Never stop. Never stop. Yeah.
Nope. And here's to the free exchange and culture of ideas.
You know what? That's free, or die, trying. Thanks, Andrea. All right, on that happy note, Tom, let's wrap it up for the day. I can't wait to hear what you got for the last.
How do I follow that up? Well, I'll try. Among Friends by Hal Ebbott, brand new author to me, and his debut novel. Just published. I think it was out yesterday. And I really love the experience of reading this novel. So it's about two couples, and they each have a teenage child. And so each family, very successful people. The parents are in their 50s. Their lives have been intertwined since college. Great deep friends. On the surface, everything is perfect. They're living in the New York suburbs. So the first half of the book is set on the birthday weekend of one of the fathers, and two families come together. They're playing tennis. As I say, everything could not be better for these people, it would seem. And yet beneath the surface, there's so much rot here. And there is a betrayal of, I won't say what, but there is a betrayal of the father with one of the daughters that, is a secret that is slowly revealed. And then the second half is the aftermath of that weekend. So I cannot praise the prose, highly enough. It's beautiful prose. He's really it doesn't feel like a debut at all. Asking moral questions, what it means to be friends, especially male friends. All sorts of questions are asked, and very social nuances. Really, really well done. I loved it. It's reminded me of, like a modern day Cheever or Updike, or, an update. It's very contemporary, although I don't think he says exactly when this is set, but I don't think cell phones are even mentioned, but it feels very contemporary, but also classic in that Cheever Updike way. And the reviewers are comparing it to James Salter's Light Years, which I haven't read and probably should have read, both for its subject matter and for the style, the high style of the prose. So really excited for this to be out now. Among Friends, Hal Ebbott.
Wow.
Right, Andrea? It's Cheever
Yeah.
and Updike. That's some pretty the heady comparisons for a debut there, right? Yeah.
I mean, I remember the Cheever collected stories that I read at university, and how it just blew me away. I was just completely transported to that world. And, that doesn't happen a lot. And so this sounds like that could, be along the same lines, and that's exciting.
Yeah, to have that same feeling about a new writer is exciting.
It's really accomplished debuts that really feel like this is a person who just absolutely has it, knows what they're doing. It's great. This is exciting, Tom. And I love me some rot under the surface.
Yes.
Right. So I'm looking for. I haven't read this one, so I'm really looking forward to this. This is great.
Yeah.
They're all great. What a great bunch of books today. That we have. I really appreciate all of them, and I appreciate all of you very much for talking about them today. Very exciting.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Andrea Tetrick from PGW, Tom Benton from Penguin. Thank you, Henry, very much. And thank you, Joey, behind the scenes. And thanks to everybody who tuned in today and who will tune in later to watch. We're going to be back again next week. We will have more reps. We will have more fabulous, fabulous summer books. And we look forward to seeing you then and talking about all of it then. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe. Take it easy. And, just to curl up with a good book. That's my best advice. So we will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.